What's up, boys? The Super Bowl just ended. Kind of a boring game. The Bucs dominated the Chiefs. They really took it to them at the line of scrimmage, and I've always said that's what's most important in football. We talk about Mahomes, sidearm throws, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, all the talent and speed and everything. If you get punched in the mouth at the line of scrimmage, you're not going to have an effective day, and that's what happened to the Chiefs last night. Now, if you guys don't know me, hopefully I have some new guys, some new viewers to this video, but I am a Madden pro. I'm a professional Madden champion, Madden streamer. If you want to watch me play live, twitch.tv/dub. Those links are below. Follow me on our social medias for more updates on Madden. And there's been a lot of talk, can Madden players help NFL teams? And for me, absolutely. Not necessarily with play calling or scouting the other team or anything of that nature. I think it ultimately comes down to time management, how to effectively put your team in the best position to have a better chance to win, whether it's how the game time, the game clock, and the game situation dictates play calls, and a bunch of other aspects of the time management at the end of the half. And I'll show you where I think the Chiefs lost this game. Now, they were losing. I feel like they were getting kind of pushed back there in the first half. The Bucs also had a 4th and goal that they got stopped on, that the Chiefs held the door on, so they could have had a lot of points. I felt like the Chiefs could not block them, and vice versa. The Chiefs also could not get off blocks. It was easy for the Bucs to run the ball, play action, easy offense for Tampa Bay to move the ball down the field. So you have to gauge that going into the game, man. We are really getting popped. How can we survive this? And I'll show you the sequence of 3 or 4 plays where I thought the Chiefs really lost the game. It was going to be hard for them to win just because they were getting dominated up front. But man, you have to realize that and put your team in the best position to win using your timeouts and using your play calls effectively. And I'll take a look for this. I have the NFL Game Pass. I don't know if the NFL will take this video down. I don't really know how that works. But this is a great breakdown, and I'm going to call it What Would a Madden Player Do? Because I want to show that, man, we are, I feel like we are kind of ahead of the curve and think outside the box more than NFL people do. If I'm wrong, let me know. All the times you guys tell me, stick to Madden, this is real life. Real life is different. Now, let's set this stage. I told you guys I feel like the Bucs are dominating, but Kansas City just got a field goal to cut it to a 1-possession game. They get the ball coming out of half, so they can double dip the chip. We call that Madden double dip the chip. Back-to-back scores. You score before the end of the first half, and you get the ball coming out of the locker room to score again. So you get 2 possessions for 1, so to speak. And the Chiefs are in that position to do that. They just got a field goal. It's 14-6, and they kick off to Tom Brady. Now, you have to go into this drive both on offense for the Bucs and on defense for the Chiefs. How am I going to play this drive? The timeout situation dictates that Tampa Bay is going to be kind of hard pressed to try to get a field goal here. They only have 1 timeout, and they have to go, what does it look like there, 30, 40 yards to get a field goal. So they're going to be a little more reserved. Now, on the flip side, Kansas City just got a field goal, slight bit of momentum, not major, but they're back in the game. They think, I have all 3 timeouts. We could force a punt here, get the ball back at the 20-yard line to go 50, 60 yards to get a field goal. It's possible. We have Mahomes. There's a lot of penalties. We have Tyreek Hill. We're the most explosive offense in football. We could do that. So going into this drive, Andy Reid says, you know what, I'm going to try my best to get the ball back here for my quarterback. So the first play for the Bucs, which should be for anybody here, is to run the ball, because then you know directly what the other team wants to do. Do they want to get the ball back? Do they want to stop the clock? And that's what they do. They run the ball off here. They get no gain. Actually fights and stays alive for 4 more seconds, which helps the Bucs at the time. Tampa Bay, or the Chiefs, use a timeout to try to get the ball back. So the next play, pretty much another run here. We're going to get a little dump off to Godwin right here, and he's going to pick up 8. Now this, as I pause, this is the worst case scenario if you're the Chiefs, because this really forces your hand. Because if he had got the first down, then the Chiefs don't call their timeout and the clock is running. But because he's so close, this was worst case for Chiefs, best case for the Buccaneers. Now herein lies the decision that Andy Reid will get questioned for, is he calls another timeout, essentially for Tom Brady's drive, but he puts a lot of faith in his defense that has kind of been getting manhandled the first half of this game. I'm going to call a timeout, hope that you guys can get off the field here and get Patrick Mahomes the ball back. So that's what he did. He called a timeout. Now Brady is at the 40-yard line. Only needs about 20 yards to get a field goal, but he needs to convert this 3rd down, because if not, he's punting the ball back to Patrick Mahomes, the young superstar quarterback. So, but Brady easy, dissects the blitz, just hits the ball off the ground, first down. Now the light turns on for the Bucs. It's our turn to go score. You're definitely not getting the ball back. You only have one timeout. We have one too. A little bit more tempo, 20 seconds left, and they're going to get a big play right here. They're going to chuck it up to Mike Evans. I see that one-on-one. I like what I got. I have a superstar out here, and he gets tripped and knocked to the ground. Now, the refs were a little ticky-tack in the first half, but I think this one is unquestioned. The only thing I think you can question is, was that catchable? And this goes back to the college rule. Do we want to make pass interference 15 yards rather than just give him 30 yards on that play? Because he did touch his ankle, but it wasn't killer. Now, since that penalty, you're in field goal range. Now, this is a difference between Madden and real life. In Madden, we essentially, I just concede the field goal at this point. This is a little bit of a tough field goal. It might be a 41-yarder, something like that, 42-yarder. But in Madden, we concede that because field goals are easy. In real life, obviously, they're a bit tougher than in Madden, clicking buttons. But we kind of concede this field goal. They have one timeout, Tampa Bay, and we'll see that they'll go ahead and dump the ball off here, what Brady did all the time. He recognized this so fast. He was on his A game last night. He didn't have to do too much, but he did. He was clicking on all cylinders as far as decision making, reading the defense, understanding who'll go with the ball, and that's why he's the GOAT. But they get this play. They have to use their last timeout. This is where I think the Chiefs lost the game. You know, I think it was going to be hard for them to win anyway, but this is where they definitely put themselves between a rock and a hard place because you're down by 8. They're in field goal range. This is what I mean about conceding a field goal. I am conceding this field goal. Now, if you're on Tampa Bay's side, listen, we can't take a sack. We can't throw the ball in bounds. That's it. You're taking a shot to the end zone. The only thing you're doing here, you're not throwing a 5-yard out route. That's not happening. The only play you have here is a shot to the end zone. And you might have 2, depending 13 seconds, maybe 4, 5, 6 seconds of play. You might be able to squeeze 2 plays in here. But if you're Tampa Bay, you're ecstatic for getting an extra field goal. You're elated with that. You will happily take that and go to the locker room. And as a Madden player, we always think that you know, you have to think that going into the play. This guy is cool taking a field goal. Tom Brady is cool taking a field goal. Let's not give him a touchdown. I mean, he'll definitely be cool taking a field goal, but he's going to go get a touchdown if you give it to him. So this is a place where the Chiefs, I feel like, should give Tom Brady the benefit of the doubt that he will not make a mistake by taking a sack or throwing a ball in bounds here. I think if it's a rookie quarterback, if it's a younger guy, not as experienced, I think maybe you can blitz him. Maybe you can hope to try to make him throw the ball underneath or take a sack, which would be detrimental to scoring points. But since it's Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, the best quarterback to ever play, no flaws in execution, I feel like you have to give him the benefit of the doubt that we will not force a mental mistake on Tom Brady here in a situation where he is content with the field goal. He is not aggressive, right? He is not, I mean, obviously he's going to be aggressive and try to get the touchdown, but he's not going to force anything. There is zero force possibility going into this play for Tom Brady. And what happens is the Chiefs send everybody on this play. They send the zero blitz, as it looks like, yeah, right there, 6 people rushing the quarterback, and they leave Badger, who's a stud player for sure, but you're 5'9" against 6'5" Mike Evans. Brady knew exactly where he was going with the ball early and gets another penalty. Now, going into this play, this is the #1 thing that I would do if I was playing. If I was a defensive coordinator and I could bring Madden into real life. Once again, if this is stupid, comment below. Shut up, Dubby. Stick to Madden. But in that situation, and I have pretty much the same formation, this bunch wide, they're in some bunch. In that situation, I believe it is better to put all these guys in coverage here, right? All these guys in coverage here rather than blitz. Because Tom Brady is going to have a clock in his head where he has to throw the ball with 5 seconds. He's not going to hold the ball because the clock is going to run out, and he needs that time for his field goal. This is not the last play of the game. He knows he needs time for a field goal. So the play is only going to take 5 seconds or so. So you only have to guard for 5 seconds, and he's not going to run the ball. He's not going to throw a screen, especially if you have 11 people in coverage. He's going to drop back there, make a read, and see that everybody's covered, and he's going to throw the ball away. And we'll see how much time this takes. Now, this is just Madden. Now the ball's gone. Well, he forces in coverage, and that's what, there's nobody there. So I feel like in these situations, that is a better defense than what the Chiefs played, because Brady's smart enough to know this ball has to come out in 5 seconds. So the Chiefs have 11 people to play coverage for 5 seconds. But they did the opposite. They sent everybody, left the Badger with almost a foot height difference between him and Mike Evans, and Tom Brady just threw it up, got the penalty. So now let's talk about what I would do next. And that took some time off the clock right here as we play it again. We get the penalty right here. And this is where the penalty, it hurts you because it gets to the goal line. Now, would the Bucks run and risk everything on a stopped run? I don't think they would, personally. As you see this one-on-one matchup, just taking candy from a baby Badger. He bumped him a little bit past 5 yards. Yeah, that's a penalty. You know, pass interference, that's a rough call on pass interference. I think that was more of an illegal contact or something along those lines. So now we have this play, right? As we see that. Yeah, Mike Evans on Badger is a mismatch. So now we have this play, boys. This is where I feel like they compound the problem, right? Because they could run the ball here. But what I would do, now this is super out of the box. Now, I don't know if this would ever, I personally feel like the 11-man coverage should be installed on every single defense in the world. I think that is a realistic defense. This one, what I would do in this play, now it's harder because they come in here with 3 tight ends. Now, but Antonio Brown right here with 10 seconds on the clock, once again, we know they're going to need their field goal. They're going to need 4 to 5 seconds to kick their field goal. So for me, what I would do is I would stone cold stunner Antonio Brown right here. He does not get off the line. He gets bear hugged, tackled to the ground. You cannot pass Antonio Brown the ball. Why? Obviously, they're going to throw the flag, right? But a play is going to take 4 to 5 seconds, right? And they're going to need those extra 5 seconds, then they have to kick the field goal. So if you tackle every receiver on the field, right? You tackle all of them, what can they do? You're not going to lose any yardage, and eventually they're going to run out of time to the fact where they're going to kick that field goal that I would have conceded. You know, I would have conceded the field goal from the beginning. Once they got that pass interference, I would have conceded the field goal. Now what can I do to not get a touchdown, not give up a touchdown? So for me, I would hold, I would grab, I would tackle every receiver. There is no chance that you actually get this play off. In fact, I would probably line off offsides too. The extra inches that you gain from a penalty are not going to change the play call for the Bucks, no matter how many times they run the play. Now, if this was the end of the fourth quarter and they needed a touchdown, obviously you can't do that because eventually they're going to have to run a play. But at the end of the first half, eventually they're going to only have 3 seconds left and they're going to just say, let's kick my field goal and get out of here 17-6. Because they're happy with that. They really are. But what happens with the Chiefs is they rush. Now, when you're this close, you kind of have to play the run a little bit. So rushing 5 people is not as bad. They play man coverage, and this is where I would have tackled Antonio Brown to get the play, to not allow him to catch the ball. There's no way I play straight up coverage in that situation, and they give up a touchdown. And like I said, I feel like that sequence is where the Chiefs lost the game for themselves. And obviously it would have been hard for them to win the game regardless because they were getting kind of punished at the line of scrimmage. But and when you see that, you have to make the right calls defensively, offensively, and with the timeouts. Now, I don't necessarily think Andy Reid calling those timeouts was a bad thing. It was a huge risk, but he took the risk and it burnt him. Ultimately, we did watch 2 penalties that affected the drive that both, I would say the Badger one was more illegal contact than pass interference, so ball should have been around the 6, and that's where I would have ran the 11-man coverage again. The pass interference, it's brutal in the NFL when you get 40, 50 yards on a penalty, especially when, obviously, he flailed, dove, and tripped Mike Evans, so definitely was a penalty. But maybe one day they'll change the rule to where pass interference is 15 yards rather than 40 yards. I think that's definitely rough. But that is what I would have done if I was asked to what defense would I call in those situations. That is pretty much what I would do. Now, would I have called the timeout there that Andy Reid called on that 3rd and 2? It's easy to say no way I wouldn't have called it, but I might have called that timeout, and I really will be honest with you guys. I think it's easier to push the ball in the field goal range in real life than it is on Madden right now. Now, you guys play Madden with the runoff, deep zones. You're not getting anything really over the top, and there's no penalties in Madden. There's no throw the ball up to Mike Evans, get 50 yards on a penalty. So for me, I don't know if I call those timeouts. It's a question that's tough to answer, and it's easy for all you guys to say, no, that was stupid timeout, because it didn't work out. You know, hindsight's always 20/20. It was definitely a big risk, and Andy Reid took it, and it backfired. But with some better defensive play calling, some innovative defenses that us Madden players have, me in particular, that I would use in those situations, really would have saved the Chiefs from giving up 7 points. They gave up 7, went down 21-6. Now, they did come out of half, score a field goal, and 17-9 would have been way different than 21-9. So the Chiefs were never able to catch up in the game, and it got out of hand and got pretty boring. I was ready to hop on video games pretty much when the third quarter was over. But shout out to the Bucks, man. Tom Brady, just, I don't even know what else positive you can say about him. It's just unquestioned. I was always a huge Peyton Manning fan. I always would argue Peyton Manning, but for me, it's just unquestioned. I mean, that guy is the best quarterback 2 times over. It's just unreal. And as an Eagle fan, I'll always be proud that the Eagles did beat Tom Brady. But if you guys like this video, what would a Madden player do? Please hit a like. Let me know if I'm wrong, if I'm right. If you guys like some of the defensive calls that I would have made in that game. And if you think Andy Reid made the right decision, man. It was a good game. Glad it was a successful season, man. Everything we've gone through, the NFL pulled off a successful season. Now we got to wait till the next year, and hopefully the Eagles find out who's going to be the quarterback.